Hey, how are you?
Good.
Yeah, we'll wait for a few more minutes. It seems like always we need to kind of allow a few minutes for people to join.
No problem.
Hey, quick question for you, Don. So when you joined meeting, actually, I did admit you to the meeting. Did you get any announcement on your end saying that meeting is being recorded?
There is a voice reminding me the meeting is recorded.
Okay. Okay, good.
Yeah, there is a voice.
Okay. Cool. Hey, you don't. So it seems like again one. I'm not sure about offer. Um, I'm not sure about offer. He didn't tell me anything that he won't be able to join, so I'm expecting him to join. Oh, there is offer. Okay.
So what's the agenda for today? Discussion.
So last time, if you remember, we kind of touched on like what we can do in this meeting, because we said your as action item you took ownership of proposing a document for
Oh yes,
defining the edge scope and really profile attributes and what that means, so we can use that later on to define actual profiles, right?
Yes.
And then you said you'll need some time, and we agreed that the next meeting in 2 weeks would be the good time to have that draft available, and we can review it. So this meeting, last time we said on offer suggested like maybe we can use this meeting then maybe to brainstorm a little bit content of this document and what really should be covered, what really should be covered in this document, if that is not clear. So that is basically the agenda, which I put up on a Gitter yesterday, which says, which I made a working title. I don't know what is the title of the document, but edge scope and profile definition, and that's basically that. So we should perhaps consider the content and information that you guys captured in your document that was put in discussion materials, remember, a while back. So we can maybe consider discussing that document and overlap with whatever needs to be captured in this document we agreed to work on next. I don't know. Does that make sense?
Oh, yes. Right now I'm working on my documents, but I'm still trying to get some input from our internal meetings. So yeah, in this meeting, I really have nothing to share you guys with.
Yeah. Okay. So I mean, I don't think there was expectation actually to share anything in this meeting from you. This was mainly put in place as a discussion meeting about the actual or brainstorming meeting about what actually should or maybe go into this document that we're talking about, and maybe you had some ideas or you would like to share or ask or discuss something in that context, so to help you put this document together, right?
Yes.
And so that is basically what we have for today, discussion on this topic. And so I'm sharing the screen, and the one that I'm referring to that you guys we put in discussion materials is this one, right?
Yes.
And so there is this document has some overlap with, I think, with what we want to put in this next document, which is I call, roughly speaking, edge, scope, and profile definition. And by going into the our statement of work. By the way, just to say to everybody, I did put this statement of work MD into a created folder called artifacts. Is that
what's in this folder?
So I just put, I'm thinking, like, I'm not sure if this is a good name, but this is the folder where we put documents that we kind of work on together, and we kind of approve, and we make them plan on record. So this artifacts folder is then to be used for that, for documents that we as a group,
I see.
agree on, right? Output of this working group, basically.
Yeah, I think it's a good separation. You have discussion material folder, and you have artifacts, which is not discussion anymore, but this is something that we agreed on.
Like a formal statement of
like something we produced, right?
Yes.
And then, not to say that it's not possible to change, but it is just something that is in a mature state.
Yes.
And so this is basically transcription of our document we reviewed so far. And here in this, we said that these two documents here we could combine to one. And then I think the gist of the definition or content of this document is really this edge profile. Definition of edge profile.
Yeah, actually, I started my edge profile document just based on your Qualcomm slides in the last ONNX workshop. I remember there's one page. There is a chart, something like cars. Yes, they're different in edge profile.
So,
do you remember that? Yeah, do you remember that page?
Workshops. I think this one.
Yeah. I remember it should be the last one or second last.
Let me see if somebody's joining. So just a sec. No.
Yeah, maybe.
Oh, actually, offer dropped. I don't know why.
All right.
Okay, so offer, yeah, he's back. So yeah, this document, right?
Yeah, go on. Go down. Yes, right here.
Yes. So this is really where what would be kind of exactly. I agree. This is the kind of maybe good starting point as discussion for what this document should capture. Really define the attribute of the edge profile, and then decide, okay, these are 4 or 5 attributes it's like dimensions we would like to use to categorize edge profiles or edge categories, and then we use that as a key definition space when we decide what on the actual profiles, like is it like deeply embedded profile, is it like infrastructure edge profile, is it like phone device profile. I mean, things like that. I'm just putting things up. I mean, I'm not sure what we are going to come up with, but basically, yes, I agree. I think this is the good way to start looking into it.
Guys, can you hear me now?
Yeah.
Yes, I can hear.
Okay. Sorry, I had some problem with my computer, so now I'm on my phone. Just wanted to make sure that you can hear me.
Yeah, we are good. We can hear you. Do you see the screen?
Okay.
On your phone?
I can see it for Zoom. Yeah.
Okay. Yes. So I'm not sure if did you. So Yedong mentioned this this slide basically from our last workshop as a basically starting point to define to work on this as a content for this document we're discussing. Right. So I think that I agree. That is exactly what we would like to do. So maybe we should brainstorm. Are these good? We just put bullet points. I don't know. It was something that I don't know. Is it like too many? Is it just enough? These I don't know. Here we have five dimensions basically.
Yes.
But
in the left you have more than 5. You have 7.
Yeah. Yes. So that the point being, this was meant to be as example, but I guess we have to decide what are the good attributes to define the edge profile. And I clearly think that compute capabilities are one, memory footprint and memory size is another, and so obviously speed is a third one. I think. And power. So I think these 4: power,
Yes.
power, compute, memory, latency.
Everybody agrees with these 4, but what about security or privacy?
Yep. So that is a discussion point. The reason I think we put this was data locality, right? And that is connected with the security and privacy. And so if you think about the edge as a profile, what if the edge profile or one category of the edge is actually the infrastructure edge? Well, by that, what I mean, it's not on device itself. It's on the network edge. And that means that data needs to travel from device to that network edge. So it's kind of fog. Consider it fog. It's not a cloud, but it's like really on the edge of a cloud, right?
So you mean between the cloud and the edge, there is another layer of computing?
Yes. I mean, there is one that is I consider, and I think this is also what Huawei was considering. Like this is like really near the network edge, right? So it's just before going over the wireless or whatever network connection to the actual device, right? And see, so it's not like deeply in a cloud servers. It's just there, close to the link. And I think this is the space that is potential. It's one of the possible edge profiles. Because of especially with advances in 5G and everything in the lower latencies and stuff like that, I think the latency constraints and in terms of real-time processing and whatnot are going to be lesser, and so then you could consider that to be one edge profile, which is like I call infrastructure edge. And if that infrastructure edge needs data for processing, that data comes from the actual potential device, right? Whoever communicates. Think about Alexa speaker, right? Right now it goes to cloud, right?
Yeah.
Now you could imagine that potentially instead of going maybe in a deep cloud, it could go to this infrastructure edge, but still it sends data up, and then the data comes down, and that is what I think is the reason that we brought in this dimension of security and privacy, just because of that data movement. Because if data is moving from device somewhere else, that is the privacy concern or security concern.
Yeah, I agree.
And that's
so
basically
why sensors and IoT devices they didn't pay much attention to security, while phone I can understand, while cars are paying so much attention to security.
Car is probably now all of these talks about hacking cars and things like that. Cars definitely need to be very much secured and protected from external attempts. And even it's like, look at it in two directions. One direction is trying to steal the data, to get the data it sends. The other direction is trying to modify the data to make the car do something that it was not supposed to do.
All right, I see.
So even in the case that Milan presented, if you have hybrid scenario of processing, some of the processing happens in the car, some of it happens at the infrastructure edge, then you definitely have a possible scenario here of this hybrid computing. You have to protect the data.
Okay, I see.
I mean, it is definitely one the dimension that we need to consider. We feel. I would say if the device is deeply embedded device, like some sensor that does all the processing locally, right? That then is maybe instead of calling it security or privacy, maybe we should call it data locality as attribute. I don't know. That is if the data leaves the device and comes back, then that is something that is defining one of the defining attributes of the profile. And
I think the point here is how, maybe to better emphasize why we think it's important, how does that impact a device that is supposed to run ONNX modems? So one possible aspect is it modifies the modems that the device needs to run. Because in a hybrid scenario, you're running different modems compared to a standalone mode.
Yeah. Okay, there is that aspect, but this is about the Torah. Yeah, hi Sarah. Sarah, can you hear us? Well, I don't know, we'll see. Yeah, so
Can you hear me now?
yes.
Yeah, I can hear.
Sorry for being late. I did not have a meeting invite, so I didn't have it in my calendar.
Really?
Yeah, it's okay. You can review our video.
I'll double check my invites, but anyway. Okay. Okay, so Yeah, so just quick refresh for Saurabh because he missed a couple of last meetings. So basically, we did approve and statement of work. We are now discussing the next delivery from this working group that we are going to work on, and Yedong is going to put a draft proposal on that in that topic. It's about defining the edge scope and edge profile attributes and what defines the edge profile. So Yedong then brought up this slide from the workshop that basically talks about that, and we agreed, and then we are discussing like what are the dimensions that should define the edge profile, and discussing right now the aspect of security, privacy, or data locality here. And so that's where we are briefly. Okay. So discussion was like whether these 5 attributes here that are on this slide that I'm presenting, sharing, are enough, or should it be less, or should it be more of these, you know, as something that we'll kind of discuss, and then Yedong will then use this discussion as maybe input for his document he's going to propose. And so actually, that's the main thing. Thoughts are, do we need to leave the security, privacy in or not into this mix? I'm not sure what you think about it, Saurabh.
Well, I think security and privacy are orthogonal, and they are more end-to-end. Even if we are offloading to the cloud, security and privacy impact end-to-end. So,
but maybe we also said, okay, here we say security, the data locality, right? So if the device is fully embedded and mobile and like some remote sensor that is doing something locally, totally locally, and does not really communicate necessarily that data out, right? What is the end-to-end security in this case? That is where we are kind of going. So
yeah, it's quite a contentious topic. Even security, you know, what we define by security, is it just the
maybe
inputs,
it's around
outputs?
Yeah, go ahead.
Is it just the inputs and outputs? Because even ML models can be fooled. So there is AI security also,
actually,
right?
That's it. Okay, so maybe I'm now start thinking that this is the wrong name to use. We're not talking about spoofing of the model,
Okay.
I think maybe we should call this attribute more like a data locality. Meaning, like, does the data stays on device or does the data leave the device? The input data.
So again, I want to emphasize maybe the point that I did before a few minutes ago. I think one of the goals, and maybe this is something that we need to better emphasize, part of the goal of defining a profile is to be able to define a set of models that should be valid. One step before that, we define a set of use cases relevant for profile. And then based on these use cases, we define models that we want this profile to pass some kind of certification on these models. That's kind of why we believe profiles are very important. Part of the reason. And connecting it now to the security thing. So security or more important, privacy is dictating different kind of models processed on the device. And this is connected to what you said, Miran. In one case, the entire processing can happen on the device because of issues of privacy. In another case, another profile, another type of device, the processing happens half of it on the device, half of it on the edge, and that dictates a different type of model. So kind of translating this capability into modems dictate the different types of modems that we want these profiles to ratify on. Maybe that clarifies why we see, for example, privacy important, not because we want to discuss how the privacy and security is happening, but we want to discuss how that affects the use cases.
Yeah, yes, I think that's another way to look at it. I agree. I don't know. Maybe again, I'm start to believe that maybe security or privacy as a attribute is maybe too wide as the term, and maybe we should use data locality as an attribute, and then that is like more precise. Maybe it says, okay, data is not leaving device, or input data is not leaving device, and or training data or whatever. Maybe there's some training happening. A use case maybe a bit where the model is updated on device periodically, or So basically, that aspect is about data being on device, leaving device or not. And however, whoever wants to interpret that as what, I don't maybe care. It's about data locality. What do you guys think?
No, it makes sense. So, Milan, is the intention here to have these attributes be enforced by the runtime or the consumer of the profile?
No, not runtime. We're not talking about runtime at all. We are just saying that, okay, so now when we have these attributes and dimensions, or dimensions if you wish, then we say, okay, now when we define our use cases and our profile definitions, edge profile definitions, then you can say you could have a table, so to speak, with these attributes being columns, right? And then you have check marks across different use cases and edge profiles as we try to define it. And you say, okay, these are the profiles that we define as important for the edge, 4 or 5, whatever, we come up with 10. And then these are the profiles that should be backed with certain set of one or more use cases and models. So then that dives down into the, okay, so we have profiles, we have the use cases behind these profiles, and then we have models associated with these profiles. And then this is like path to defining that like compliance of the edge devices, right? So somebody defines develops the specific use case with their edge device, then it should fit in one of these profiles. It should, this is I am in this category, right? And somebody ultimately could claim, if I pass compliance based on ultimately what we want to define is like set of use cases, models, and test criteria, that somebody could say, okay, I am passing this compliance for the infrastructure edge profile, and
makes sense.
I'm certified, right, for that. And it's just defining that, like, maybe we won't know for sure before we start defining the actual profiles, and it might be that defining specific attributes upfront without going through exercise of the use cases and edge profiles then maybe we'll come up with more attributes or less attributes. Maybe if we can, maybe we have to have a starting point, working draft. Okay, these are the attributes that we are going to cover as important, and then go to the next step, which is defining the profiles. And then it's going to be a little bit of iterative process. If we, to defining these profiles, we come up and say, well, look this table. I don't know. Somehow I envision this table, and then you say, well, it seems like this column is empty, or then well, clearly that would mean like we don't need that column, right? And that means that attribute is meaningless. Or we say, well, we need really to differentiate these two rows being edge profiles, and then you say, oh, we need to add another column, which is another attribute, right? And I think we just need to come up with a reasonable starting point, I feel, for this edge profile attributes, and reasoning why. Perhaps this document could also refer to some typical use cases, maybe. Maybe that is a connecting point which will help us define this, help us define these attributes. So anyway, these are the 5 that we have right now. I'm just proposing that we just really change the security privacy to data locality. That is my proposal.
No, makes sense. Data locality would be more explicit of what we want it to be.
And the second thing is, like, do we want to actually? There is a 6th bullet here, which I'm just realizing, connected or not. Is edge device could be disconnected from the net, right? Could it be standalone, local, totally? I think it could, right? I mean, in the essence, doesn't have to be connected. It could be a remote sensor dropped somewhere. Somebody comes after a month and just collect that, right? And somehow offload.
The aspect, the aspect of connected, actually, again, the impact on what we want define is not the process locally, but the processing is kind of distributed or hybrid. It is on device, so it's happening.
Yeah. So sorry, Ofer, you were breaking a bit, and I mean, I got good pieces and bits of it. Are you saying that the connected should be attribute or not?
So I was saying that connected. Can you hear me now?
Yeah, better.
Okay. I'm saying that connected is actually, if you look at it again, how does that affect what we want to ratify is the processing of the model. If the processing is only local or distributed between the device and something else. I don't know if connected is affecting other aspects that we care about. Again, of course, it affects a lot of other things.
Okay. Okay, I see. Maybe basically if data locality says yes and you say data locality, no, means like it has to, data needs to travel somewhere. That means implicitly means it's connected. Is that?
Yes, and even data locality is more like whether the processing is local or the processing of the network. When you run a network, if the processing is completely local or distributed.
Yes. Okay. Well, fine. I agree. it's in a way, yes, we could basically imply connectivity through the data locality aspects, or hybrid or whatever. Okay. Anyways, so okay.
Maybe a suggestion to kind of move forward is to do an exercise of describing what we know with the existing attributes that already appear in this slide, and we agree on, just to see that let's say we describe a mobile phone, we describe it using these, and we see whether that's sufficient or not, and we describe infrastructure edge device, these attributes, we see if it's sufficient or not.
Yeah, so I agree. So it seems like maybe in this document it should be some test examples, right? As use cases that we can see. Can we describe all of them that we using these attributes we have? And that's why I thought eventually the defining these attributes potentially could change over time as we start defining more detailed use cases, or sorry, the edge profiles. And so I agree. I think that to me, it's basically what we have discussed today. It felt like, well, it seems like these 5 attributes that we have on this diagram are pretty good starting point already. And instead of security and privacy, we can call that data locality. And then that's our kind of starting point, right? Is that fair statement?
Makes sense.
Okay. Well, I know that was, I don't know if do we want to keep talking about this, or we have enough discussion and brainstorming here done, and then we can really cut it short for today.
I'm done with that. I think today is a pretty good discussion and many good new points. Yeah.
Okay.
So, yeah, I'm working on this, and I'm trying to post my draft before next meeting.
Okay, so that's great. Thank you, Elon.
No problem.
So the next one will be in 2 weeks. And by the way, our goal is to define this edge scope and edge profile document, edge profile definition document, and make it like POR, plan of record, or make it into artifacts in this quarter, meaning by the end of June. And basically we have 2 or maybe 3 meetings if we go bi-weekly. So I think if there is a time we can do that, fine. And if need be, we could, if discussion gets more kind of engaged and or contagious in a sense, like there is a collision of opinions and we need to discuss more, we can obviously introduce in between meetings if you want to make progress. But definitely the goal is that we want to complete this document in this quarter. That is our goal, and then when we even potentially start on the next one. Sounds good?
Yeah, sounds good. Yeah.
Okay. That's about it then. The offers keep coming in. He keeps coming in.
Sorry, I got some connectivity issues. Got some real
Connected
connectivity
or not?
issues.
Yeah.
Yes.
What phone is that? Don't answer.
No, I'm connected through my phone both on the Wi-Fi and the dialed in because my laptop doesn't have a battery. So for some reason, the phone connection of Zoom keeps on breaking in and breaking out. I don't know.
Yeah. Okay.
It's an
Anyway,
iPhone.
we are just saying that we don't think we don't necessarily need to spend burn a full hour, and it seems like we discussed what we wanted to discuss. Seems like we could conclude the meeting right now, unless somebody else wants to bring up something else. So that is the last call for discussion topic, and then if not, then I'm gonna conclude the meeting.
Nothing from me.
Okay, sounds good. So we are planning to review this document draft next meeting. Sounds good?
Yep. Milan, are you going to create a meeting series, like a bi-weekly meeting series, this one calendar?
I did actually. I'm just looking into I'm opening my invite that I have in my calendar, and here you can see it, and it is, I see you sent. Do you see series of meetings or no?
Yes, actually I see.
So I'm not sure what happened here.
Yeah, in my calendar, every 2 weeks there will be one.
Yeah.
ONNX Edge work group meeting.
So you don't see that, Sarah?
I don't, Milan. Maybe you can resend just to me, and
okay.
Maybe that would help.
Okay. Okay. Okay, let's see if this works, if you get it. Anyway, so I did resend just now, so we'll see if you get it. But we on the GitHub channel, I do announce before every meeting, so if you monitor GitHub channel, you should see this kind of messages.
No, I got it now.
Okay.
This works. Thank you.
Okay. Okay, sounds good, guys. Thanks for today. Talk to you in 2 weeks.
Yeah, thank you.
Thank you. Bye.
Bye.
Bye.